Hey guys, my name is Sergey and today I want to tell you about one Russian fairy tale and an interesting fact about that fairy tale. Most Russians, by the way, don't know about that fact. Of course, they do know the fairy tale, but not about the fact. So the fairy tale is called the Turnip, like turnip, vegetable turnip. And it's quite short. I'm gonna tell you that story really quickly. Once upon a time, there lived an old man. Let's call him grandfather. So that grandfather planted a turnip in his garden, and the turnip grew up and became very big. So he wanted to pull it out of the ground, but he was too weak to pull such a big thing out of the ground. So he called his old lady and they are pulling it together, grandfather and grandmother. It didn't work and they decided to call their granddaughter. So the three of them are working together, but they still cannot pull it out of the ground. Then they decided to call their dog. The dog's name was Zhuchka, which in Russian means something like a small bug, something like that. It's not a human name, but it's a normal name for a dog. A little team effort, they're working together, but still didn't manage to pull the turnip out of the ground. They called the cat, they're working together with the cat, still no result, and finally they called a little mouse. And only with the little mouse's help, they finally managed to pull the freaking turnip out of the ground. The end. So the story is quite simple. Probably there is a similar fairy tale in your culture, in your country, and the message of the story is very simple too. Teamwork is always good, and even some little help might be crucial. But here is the interesting fact about that story. All the characters in the story don't have names. They're referred to as grandfather, grandmother, granddaughter, cat, mouse. Only one character, only the dog, has a name. Zhuchka. I mean, why the dog? The dog is not even the most important character in this story. The dog didn't plant the turnip. The dog didn't get the job done. I mean, if someone deserves a name in that story, it should be the mouse. And if you asked a Russian person, excuse me, do you know the fairy tale The Turnip? They would tell you, of course I do know the fairy tale The Turnip. Everyone does. So if you asked them, why do you think all the characters have no names? They don't have names, and only the dog has a name. Most Russian people would tell you, I have never noticed it. Some people would probably come up with a weird theory about dogs being some kind of sacred animals or something like that. But the real answer is quite simple. You know that fairy tales hundreds of years ago, they were quite different, not the fairy tales that we know now. And the Disney version of Cinderella is quite different from the original, quite creepy version of Cinderella. So the turnip, that story was different too. In the original version of that story, none of the characters had names, and the dog's name was Zhuchka. In the modern Russian language, Zhuchka means bitch. Just like in English, this word might mean two things. First, it's a female dog, and second, it might be an offensive word. So the original name of the dog was just bitch. Probably very long time ago, when someone came up with the idea of that story, the word Zhuchka, bitch, was just a regular word, not offensive at all. But at the time when the fairy tale was first written down and published, it was in the 19th century, the word bitch was already, well, not a good word for books, for publishing. And the editors, they decided to change the word to give the dog another name. Because you can imagine a story about a grandfather, grandmother, granddaughter, bitch, cat and mouse. It doesn't sound okay. And they decided to give the dog name, and the name was Zhuchka. You might be wondering why they didn't call the dog dog. I mean, in the Russian language there is a word for dog, which is собака. I mean, Zhuchka means bitch, but собака is a normal, not offensive word, which means dog in Russian. The problem with the word собака is that in the fairy tale, it's not a poem, but some of the lines, they rhyme, and the word for dog is supposed to rhyme with the word for granddaughter. The Russian for granddaughter is внучка. Внучка and Zhuchka, they rhyme, right? But внучка and собака, they don't rhyme. And the editors, they decided to come up with another name that would rhyme with the word внучка. So the dog and granddaughter would still rhyme. So this is why only one character, and not the most important character in that fairy tale, has a name. So if you happen to have Russian friends, you might surprise them with your knowledge of the Russian fairy tales. I'm pretty sure that most Russians don't know about that fact, and they haven't even noticed that only one character in that story has a name. Thank you very much for watching my video. I hope it was interesting. Please don't forget to hit the like button if you liked it. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my videos, and see you next time. Bye!